Hey, Broncos Nation! Big things are on the horizon this week, and trust me, this new season is shaping up to be one for the books. But before we dive into the action, there's a potential move that could shake up the entire roster in ways we didn't see coming. We're talking about a major free agent signing, a bold approach to recruiting that might change everything, and a running back situation that's splitting opinions among fans. If you thought this offseason was going to be predictable, think again. Sean Payton is proving once again that he's playing 3D chess while the rest of the league is stuck on checkers. I'm going to break down the key players Payton is targeting, and I'd love to hear which names stand out to you the most. But before we get into it, if you believe in Coach Sean Payton's ability to lead us to the Super Bowl, hit that like button. And if you're ready for the journey, drop a comment like "Go Broncos, Super Bowl bound." Now let's start with the tight end position, a spot that many fans thought would be a key focus in the upcoming NFL draft. Names like Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland were high on everyone's radar with hopes that one of them would make their way to Denver. But then the Broncos pulled a curveball. They signed Evan Engram, arguably the top free agent tight end available. That move changes everything. When Engram is healthy, he's an absolute difference maker, and all of a sudden the idea of using the 20th overall pick on a tight end doesn't seem to add up. Mike Kliss, a respected insider, has already hinted that the Broncos are likely to pass on a tight end in the first round. And let's be honest, rookie tight ends don't always hit the ground running. The position is one of the hardest for first-year players to master, requiring them to balance blocking schemes and wide receiver routes. Sure, there have been exceptions like Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta, but on the whole, it's a tough transition. So, if Denver isn't looking at a tight end early, what does that mean for their first-round pick? All signs are pointing to wide receiver or running back, and here's where it gets even more intriguing: the ongoing debate over Audric Estime. While some fans have turned on him after a rough rookie season, let's pump the brakes on that narrative for a second. Yes, Audric Estime had some struggles early on, including issues with fumbling and being inactive for a crucial late-season game. But when you step back and look at his physicality, his ability to break tackles, and the flashes of brilliance he displayed, especially in the game against Kansas City, it's tough to understand why some fans are already counting him out. Estime is built like a wrecking ball. When he gets downhill, defenders feel every step. He's not your typical finesse back. He's a power runner who makes defenders rethink their decisions. Now, with the offensive system evolving and Evan Engram opening up the middle of the field, Estime could be primed for a breakout year. Pair him with Jaleel McLaughlin, a back with speed and explosiveness, and suddenly the Broncos' backfield becomes a dynamic duo. But don't think Denver is done making moves just yet. The team recently brought in DJ Giddens for a top 30 visit, showing they're at least exploring adding more depth to the running back room. Giddens brings that aggressive downhill running style that meshes perfectly with what Sean Payton wants to establish on offense. It wouldn't be a surprise if the Broncos target a running back in the mid-rounds, around the third or fourth round, where there's still great value to be found. Now let's talk about the biggest rumor making the rounds: Amari Cooper to Denver. CBS Sports recently predicted that the Broncos may have one more major move up their sleeve, and that could be Cooper. When you take a look at the Broncos' wide receiver room, the idea makes a lot of sense. Courtland Sutton remains the number one guy, but adding Cooper would give Denver a true route running specialist, someone who can create separation and complement the existing talent on the roster. The big question with Cooper is his availability. He missed several games last season due to undisclosed personal reasons, and there's still some uncertainty surrounding that. But purely from a football standpoint, this would be a game changer. Imagine an offense featuring Evan Engram at tight end, Courtland Sutton and Amari Cooper at wide receiver, and a backfield with Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin. That's a lot of firepower. That's a huge improvement compared to where this team was just a year ago. If Bo Nix continues to develop and build on his promising rookie season, the Broncos could have one of the most well-rounded and unpredictable offenses in the entire AFC. With that in mind, let's focus on the upcoming draft strategy. If Denver isn't planning to take a tight end at number 20 and they feel confident in their running back depth, does that mean they're leaning towards strengthening the defense? Could they look to improve the pass rush or shore up the secondary? Looking at how the Philadelphia Eagles built their success around dominating the trenches, the Broncos might be following a similar blueprint. There's a lot to consider and many moving parts still need to fall into place. But one thing is clear. Sean Payton has a clear vision for this team, and each move is being made with that broader plan in mind. So now it's over to you. Do you agree with skipping a tight end in the first round? Are you still backing Audric Estime, or is it time to move on? And how excited would you be if Amari Cooper ends up in orange and blue? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. The conversation surrounding the Denver Broncos' offseason moves is only heating up. We've already discussed the signing of Evan Engram and what it means for the tight end position, the ongoing debate about Audric Estime's future in Denver, and the possibility of Amari Cooper joining the Mile High City. But let's take a deeper dive into what all these moves could mean for the Broncos' draft strategy and long-term plans. One of the biggest questions heading into the draft is whether Sean Payton and George Paton will take a risk on a playmaker at number 20, or if they'll focus on building up the defense. If the Broncos go the defensive route, who could they target? A linebacker, an edge rusher, a cornerback? Let's start with the idea of bolstering the defense. The arrival of Dre Greenlaw was a game changer. When healthy, he's one of the top linebackers in the league. His intensity and sideline-to-sideline playmaking ability are exactly what the Broncos have been missing. However, despite Greenlaw's addition, there are still some concerns on the second level of the defense that need to be addressed. Do the Broncos have enough depth at linebacker? If Dre Greenlaw gets injured again, does this defense have someone ready to step up? These are the tough questions the front office needs to address. Edge rusher is another position that could use some reinforcements. Baron Browning has shown flashes of potential, but consistency and staying healthy have been concerns. Denver needs someone who can consistently get to the quarterback, and if a top-tier pass rusher falls to number 1. 20, they may not have much choice but to make that pick. Think about how the best defenses in the league operate. Pressure is everything. If the Broncos want to be a true contender in the AFC West, they need to be able to disrupt Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and whoever the Raiders put under center. But here's the wild card, the secondary. The Broncos are fortunate to have one of the best young corners in the league with Patrick Surtain too, but the real question is whether they feel comfortable with the depth behind him. If a high upside defensive back is available at number 20, do they pull the trigger? The AFC is filled with elite quarterbacks, and having multiple lockdown corners can make all the difference. Now here's the biggest twist in this whole conversation. What if the Broncos go all in on offense? If the team believes Bo Nix is their guy and they want to maximize his potential, adding another weapon could be the key. We've talked about Amari Cooper as a free agent possibility, but what if the Broncos decide to draft a wide receiver instead? The team already has Cortland Sutton and young players like Devin Bell, but the idea of adding a game-changing receiver is hard to ignore. If an elite wideout falls to number 20, could the Broncos make a move that surprises everyone? One thing is for sure. Sean Payton is not a coach who plays by the book. He's unpredictable and always thinking several steps ahead. He understands how tough the AFC West is, and he's making moves to position the Broncos to compete now. That's why the tight end conversation is so intriguing. Many thought Denver would prioritize a tight end early in the draft, but now with Evan Engram on board, that seems unlikely. And if Colston Loveland is still available at number 20 and the Broncos pass on him, there's a good chance he's heading to the Chargers. At the end of the day, this offseason is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent Broncos history. The roster is evolving, the vision is becoming clearer, and expectations are starting to rise. This isn't a team in the middle of a rebuild. It's a team that's reloading for a fresh, competitive run. The big question now is what's the next move? And that's where you come in. What do you think the Broncos should do at number 1? Irbade? Should they target a playmaker on offense? Should they go all in on improving the defense? And what about Audric Estime? Are you still optimistic about his future with the team, or are you ready to move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a conversation that every Broncos fan needs to be a part of.